So now I'm just giving you a closer up view of things. It'll all light up in a moment when it gets plugged in. But when we open up here, you see the basket and the crisper rack in there. And that rack has some silicone type bumpers on there. And so I want to show you those real quick. These you leave on. You don't take those off. And they stay on because you don't want metal scraping on metal when you have this in. But when you're using it, you leave it in there. When you're cleaning this thing, you want to take this out. And basically, you want to put these are dishwasher safe, but I'll talk more about cleaning later. But if you're going to put it in a dishwasher, take the rack out before you put this in the basket in the dishwasher. Both the basket and the rack here are dishwasher safe. Now, I want to go inside. Now, one thing that's nice that we see here, full metal interior that holds in holds in your heat better. So that's very nice. And then when we look up top here, we see the big heating coil, big fan behind the heating coil for airflow. Over on the upper right there, you see that ambient probe sticking out there to measure temperature. So pretty good stuff going on inside there. I also want to show you with the basket, there's a max fill line kind of like right there, just over the window. So with that max fill line, you don't want to fill anything over that. But it does have a window, and the outside window's plastic, and the inside window's glass. Always with all of these window air fryers, it's always plastic on the outside of it, glass on the inside of it. It's always like a two-pane type thing. They've always got these doors that have a kind of air gaps here, and so after you wash it, you're always going to have like kind of water vapor and stuff here that you can see. If you were using a basket air fryer that didn't have a window, they always have the same kind of double door situation. You just don't see the water that you see with the basket that has a window, but the water's there. Even with the baskets that don't have a window, the water's there, you just don't see it. So don't get troubled after you wash it or whatever that you see water kind of still here. It's not going to cause mildew or anything of that sort. Just like with the basket air fryers that don't have a window, you never get mildew or stuff building up in there. That doesn't happen. But you are going to see some water getting, kind of trapped in there, and eventually it all dries out. It'll take time. Don't know how long, but eventually it does. All right, so now I'm going to do some independent measurements here. So let's just measure the height. And for height, I'm seeing the 11 inches that they say. And I'm going to do the front to back real quick. Now, doing front to back to the handle is a little under 14 inches. You get like that 13.9, but they have this kind of cord management stub kind of sticking out there. When you go back to that cord management stub back there, then you've got about 16 inches going front to back. So it's really about 16 inches. So now I'm going to go over this way, and we'll just measure things this way here. And you got about 11 there when you try and get it correct because of the shape of it. You got probably about 11 inches that way. I'm going to go on inside here now, open things up. And so you see the basket here. And we'll see how deep things go with the basket. You get about, let's see if I make sure my hand's not in the way. Get about 4 inches in depth there. And going across this way, we've got 9.5. Going this way, we've got almost 9, but not quite 9. Alright, so now we have the 6-quart Chefman next to the 7-quart West Bend air fryer. Full review of this is here on the channel, and we see that even though the West Bend is 1 quart larger, it is way larger in overall size. I mean, it's bigger in every aspect from what I can tell. I'm going to just take out these baskets. I mean, basket for the West Bend is huge compared to the Chefman for 1 quart of difference. Almost get the Chefman basket in there, but much bigger difference here in the size of these two baskets just from visual observation. Chefman's just huge overall. And even looking at the height of the baskets, now I've got the west bin to the right. The height, there's not much difference in height. They're both about the same in height, but still the west bin is just way larger. So now I've got the 6-quart Chefman next to the 5-quart Ninja Air Fry Pro 4-in-1. Full review of this is here on the channel also. And so we see that the Chefman's just a little taller than the Ninja, but the Ninja is basically wider in its overall size around. And so let's just go ahead and just check out the basket situation here. And gotta get my Ninja paperwork out of the Ninja. When we look at the baskets, they're very similar in size. I mean, let me check. I'm just going to do a quick measure of the Ninja basket. I do more measurements of this in its review. But the Ninja basket is 9 inches by almost 9 versus the 6-quart Chefman that is like 9.5 by almost 9. And so, you know, you get the 4 inches of depth there. Whereas with the Ninja, you get about 3.5 inches of depth. So the Ninja is, you know, it's a little smaller as far as, you know, being a quart smaller, but it still comes in very close to the Chefman in some respects. I mean, it's not much smaller for being a quart smaller. Alright, so now I'm going to get things plugged on in so that we can see how things go after that. You see things just light up real quick. And so I'm just going to hit, well, I guess I'll give you a close-up view of the display. So now I hope that you can see the display better. And I'm just going to hit the time temp that you see is faintly lit up. And things basically come on there. And so we see the different functions that it has. But basically for most cooks, I mean, unless you want to use a preset, you could do like just your basic, hit the button, the time temp button, set your temperature to whatever you want. So apparently the lowest is 200 and the highest is 400. And then for your time, you can do, let's see how far up it goes. So basically it's 60 minutes is the highest. So between 1 to 60 minutes, 200 degrees, 400 degrees Fahrenheit are your limits for this air fryer. And then you have your presets here. So like this preset for meat, you can press that and it does like 375 for 18 minutes. Then there's the chicken one, that does 400 for 22 minutes. Then there's the fries one, that one does, let's see, 400 for 18 minutes. Then there's the fish, that does 375 for 10 minutes. But these are just basically presets that you can use like as a jump off point to easily get to the time and temp that you want. You got your start button where you start things up. You got your light button where you can light things up inside. And this cooker does not have any like dedicated preheat. So if you want to, you don't have to. But if you want to, you can preheat for 5 minutes by just adding 5 minutes to your cook time and not putting your food in until after that first 5 minutes is done. So now I'm going to do a temperature test. I've got an oven thermometer here, so I'm just going to stick it right in there. The cooker is already set to 400 degrees Fahrenheit. It defaults to 400 when you start, you know, when you first plug it in. 415 minutes is where it starts out. So I'm just going to up the time to an even 30 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and hit start with that. And so we'll just let that run for a moment. Alright, so now I'm doing a sound decibel check. We see it's in the low 50s. Low 50s is about average for a basket air fryer, so it comes in at about the norm as you would expect for a basket style of air fryer as far as the sound that it makes while it's running. And so now I just want to feel around here nothing's feeling really hot. The counter's fine. Now I'm going to feel on the cooker here, just a little warm, but I can keep my hand there all day long. Front here, it's a little hot. It's a little hot. I can touch it, but I don't want to keep my hand there. Up top here, it's a little hotter. It's a little hotter than it is down bottom here. Down bottom here is great. Up here is a little hotter. On the top, just a little hot there. So, and the handle is cool. Alright, so now I'm doing a thermal imaging check here. We see that, you know, right around the door area is where it's hottest. I guess could get up to like 180, about 180 degrees there. No, actually the max is over 200. So about 180 where I have the center, but over 200 is the max on that door area there. Then coming around the side, and every air fryer has hot spots, so it's just a matter of where. In this one, it's like the top front where it has the hottest spot. Going around the back, you'll see what's going on back there. I mean, where you got the hot exhaust, other than, you know, that's the hottest spot there. Looking over the top, there's a couple of hot areas there on the top. Going around here to the other side, I see that things are pretty hot on that upper front there. So as I felt, you know, it is, even through the thermal testing, it's cooler down on the bottom where that metal liner is. It's always good to have a metal liner if you get in a basket air fryer. Alright, so now I'm going to open up and see if it auto pauses. And it does. And let's check the temperature. We're well over 400. We're almost 450. And that's just regular cooking. So that's pretty good there. I'm going to close up again. And I'm going to now try and make some changes on the fly. So let's say I want to go up. I can adjust the time, and it lets me adjust that on the fly. And then I want to try and adjust the temperature. Let's see if I went down to 395. Will I take that? And it seems like it does. So I can just put it back up to 400. I can put my time up to 30 minutes again if I choose. And so now I'm going to do the stop cancel and see if it just pauses or if it totally stops. And yeah, it totally stops. Some cookers, stop cancel might do a pause and then maybe you have to hit it twice to actually cancel the cook. But one press and it basically cancels things out. We see that the time and temp return to the original setting. It doesn't retain any memory whatsoever. Alright, so now I'm going to do a toast test. I've got a couple of slices of my whole wheat light sourdough bread here. A video of how I make it is here on the channel. I've got one slice buttered, one slice is not buttered, and so I'm going to try and configure these in a way that they won't touch each or kind of overlap each other or anything. Yeah, so got them both in there without them, you know, having to sit on top of one another. So I'm going to close on up in here. Let's see. We'll get things turned on here. I'm going to leave it at 400. I'm going to bring the time down to, well, that thing goes pretty quick. I'm going to do 6 minutes to see what happens. So we'll go ahead and let that run. Alright, so time's up. And I will mention that it does do like a little beep, not a lot, but just a little like beep or two at the halfway point, letting you know that it's time to turn things over. So getting my toast one out of here. And let's see what we've got. And I know I could have flipped it to cook it fully evenly on both sides, but here we have the unbuttered slice. Got a pretty good toasting. Back of it, the buttered slice. The butter got pretty good job on it, and you know, melted through, of course. So it is able to do toasting. Alright, so I've got some of my almond flour chocolate chip cookie dough here. I'll flash the recipe on the screen. And I've got the basket here with no rack in there because I'm just going to put things flat on the bottom of the basket. Looks like I got a little dough on the basket here. I'm just trying to take a little of that off. But let me get it on in here. What I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and kind of do a preheat. So let's go down to, well, for time I'm going to up it to 20. For temperature, I'm going to take it down, let's try 350, and we'll see how that goes. And I'm going to, well actually, I'm going to do 25 for time because I want to do 5-minute preheat. So I'm going to let things preheat. I will mention that using dark organic maple syrup causes less over-browning than honey. So I found that dark maple syrup works better, even though, you know, some cookers are going to overcook things on the top more than others. Using a dark maple syrup works better than honey. Honey's going to more likely brown things further than a dark maple syrup. It's going to stay less brown and less getting overcooked on. Alright, things have been warming up for about 20 minutes, so I'm going to just go ahead and pop the cookies in. I haven't sprayed the bottom with anything. We'll see how that non-stick coating holds up down there. Alright, well let's let it run for a while and see what happens. Alright, I've let things go for about 15 minutes, so let's see how they're doing. They're feeling like almost done, like they're almost there. I'm going to give them the last 5 minutes. Let this play out. Alright, the time's up. Just going to feel them now. Yeah, they're done now, so you may be able to see them. I'm going to get them out. And I notice, although the light comes on in the last 30 seconds, if you press the light earlier than that, it just runs for maybe 30 seconds or so, and then it goes back out. Alright, so we got them all out, and you see the bottom there, you know, not a lot, you know, no sticking really at all. I mean, that's just really melted chocolate on the bottom, but other than that, everything turned out well. And you see the cookies, not too bad for a basket air fryer, really. So, you know, using the maple syrup also helped a lot. If I was using honey, these probably would be blackened over by now. But we see that you can do some baking. You know, you got to improvise a little bit, but you can do it. So I've got a couple of salmon burgers here for an air fry test. I'll flash the recipe on the screen. So I'm just going to put these right on the air fry rack that I put back in here, and going to go ahead and put one there, put one right here, so they're in there like that. And I'm going to go ahead and run it at, let's see, let's do the chicken setting because that'll get us to like 400. And time, I'm going to do 20 minutes. And we'll hit start. We'll let things run for a while. Alright, time's up. So I'm going to check things out. With salmon burgers, I don't like moving them around during the cook, so I didn't go in at all. And things are done, so I'm going to go ahead and get them on out of here. You can see how they look there in the basket. They're nicely cooked. And coming off the rack very nicely. So look at the rack afterwards, you know, not much mess. Very non-stick. Here we go with the salmon burgers. They look nice, so pretty good job there. So now let's talk about cleaning. You are supposed to unplug before cleaning. You don't want to electrocute yourself or anything. Let things cool down fully, and then take the rack out of the basket. And then, of course, if you want to put it in a dishwasher, you can. But never immerse this main unit in water. And I personally, I'll just do things by hand. You can just use like a warm soapy dishcloth to clean things, and a wet one to wipe things off and then dry things off. I found with any types of countertop cookers, the parts last longer if you don't dishwash them, even though this one has a dishwasher safe basket and rack. It's just the way things usually go with any of these. And don't use anything abrasive, of course. So let's talk about the warranty. The cooker comes with a 1-year limited warranty. And so we see that it was able to do everything that it was tasked to do. It did a pretty decent job overall with everything. It's a pretty basic air fryer, not a lot of frills to it, but it does what it's supposed to do. And so that's all cool. And so nothing in this video is sponsored. I prefer things that way. There's lots of ways for you to help out. You can always check out my blog, superwaveovenrecipes.com. Again, that's superwaveovenrecipes.com. Buy me a coffee link there. Also, in the video description, you can check out the Amazon shop where you pay the same price, help the channel. Also, buy me a coffee link there. YouTube memberships, there's merch, and there's the memberships to, help out that way. And YouTube's donations, they have a way to give like super thanks and things like that. And so there's lots of ways to help out. And so with all of that said, if you did like the video, please do give it a thumbs up, share the video with a friend, leave your comments, subscribe, hit that notification icon, and good eating.